Hey everyone, welcome back into the Madman Betting Podcast. Guys, as we dive into week number 14 in the college football and also week number 13 in the NFL, looking back on last week, it wasn't a great week, but I think we picked up a couple units. We're now plus 117 units on the season, right around 56%, I believe, total for the season. So guys, as we go into Thanksgiving week, we are very thankful to have done what we've done so far this season, to be where we're at, winning the games that we've won. My dog of the week this season, I apologize, but guys, over the last couple of seasons, I've done real well. This year, a couple weeks, I've recorded this podcast a little bit early in the week. Doesn't allow me to get the studying in I need for that dog of the week. So going forward, we are going to record our podcast. The picks will be put up on madmanclub.com. We may release a couple of those a little early. All of our plays will be on madmanclub.com. The college plays, the NFL plays, and that dog of the week every single week over at madmanclub.com. So get over there and get registered today. So going forward, we're going to wait later in the week when we put these plays out. We'll talk about some of the games that we're going to make plays on, but we'll wait to see what kind of closing line value we can get or how we see those lines moving throughout the week and put those plays up later in the week. Before we get started, I just want to wish everyone out there a happy Thanksgiving as it's Thanksgiving week. And boy, there's a plate full of games for Thanksgiving. You've got Green Bay playing on Thanksgiving Day, Green Bay and Detroit. I'll pull up here, look, to make sure what we do have for Thanksgiving Day. You've got Detroit and Green Bay, Kansas City and Dallas play at 4 o'clock, and main course, Bengals and Ravens play at 8:30. That game, Joe Burrow should be back. Baltimore making a push to try to win that NFC North. This is going to be an interesting game. Going forward, I really like the Baltimore Ravens as they make a push, and I would be very surprised if they don't make it in to the AFC Championship game, maybe even the Super Bowl. And look for Dallas to maybe make a little bit of a run as we get through the rest of this season. I think they've shored up a few things on the defense. Didn't look real good against Philly in the first half, but in the second half they shut Philly down. So look for the Cowboys to maybe make a run as well. This week will tell the tale about the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. Whoever wins this game on Thanksgiving Day, I believe, will put themselves in position in the NFC North as they chase the Bears to the finish line. So we'll get ready for that. Over in college football this week, you've got Navy playing on Thanksgiving Day. I think they play Memphis. That'll be a very good game as Memphis is 8-3. Navy sitting there at 8-2 in the American. This is going to be a fun game to watch. These two teams can absolutely put some points up. As Memphis quarterback thrown for 2,400 yards and 13 TDs this year. This Lewis kid, he's a pretty good ball player. A lot of big games coming up. But first, like I said, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving as we dive into some games. We also may dive into some basketball as soon as football season is over with. So we are taking a look at some things to see whether or not that's something we want to dive into. If we do, we'll continue to do this podcast throughout the summer and do some basketball going forward. So, guys, buckle up, get aboard that Madman train. Get over to all of our social media. Get over to TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram. All of our podcast videos are over on YouTube. Make sure you get over to the podcast platform to listen to the podcast. Give us a follow on all the platforms. Give us a 5-star review over on the podcast. And guys, get registered over on YouTube. Become a subscriber. You'll know whenever those podcasts hit that platform. So thank you so much for the ones who have signed up or the ones that are following us right now. Let your friends know that we are up 100 and some units on the season. We want to try to hit that 150 mark, which would be a good place to finish as we get down the home stretch here and end this football season this year. So, guys, jump aboard. We're going to take this train to the window and cash some tickets. When we come back, we're going to talk about some things, college football, maybe not just games, but some other stuff we want to talk about in the college football arena. Also, over in the NFL, some things that may happen in the NFL going forward. A lot of these teams are getting positioned to put themselves in the playoffs. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive in head first. Guys, make sure you get aboard that Madman train. We're going to be cashing tickets and get to the window this weekend. Welcome back in, guys, to the Madman Betting Podcast. We're going to dive into a little bit of college football, some of these games for this weekend. Huge slate of games. We've got NFL on Thursday with one college game. Total of 4 games on Thursday. 13 college games on Friday. On Black Friday, we got one college game. One NFL game on Friday. So a total of 14 games on Friday and a full slate of games on Saturday. But first, let's dive in. As everybody knows, they've already been talking about all this with James Franklin and Virginia Tech, which I told you guys the week he got fired when I did the podcast that Franklin might be the next coach at Virginia Tech. He is. I think he will help. I think he's a great recruiter. He will flip some of these guys that he's got coming to Penn State. I'm sure he's going to flip some of those guys. I would say that he will attract enough big-time talent with the money that Tech's pouring in to put them on the map early, and I mean as early as next season. Look for Tech to be back on top. I wouldn't say maybe win the ACC, but they may. I look for them to have at least an 8 or 10 win season next year, though, because I think that he will bring in the talent to do so. But guys, this coaching carousel, Auburn, who is looking for a coach, the Baylor Bears possibly looking for some coaches as their offensive line coach leaves. LSU looking for a head coach, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Colorado State, Florida, Penn State looking for a coach. UAB looking for a coach, probably looking for some stability as well, and maybe some discipline after one of their players stabs 2 other players before last week's game in a game that I gave out, which is really disappointing considering I took UAB last week, and then you have chaos break out the day of the game and one of their players stabs 2 other players. So of course that didn't go well, and of course they did not cover. Those 2 guys are all right, and I think he was arrested, so we're glad that everybody made it through and everybody is safe now. So that's the most important thing. South Carolina, they're going to be looking for possibly an offensive line coach. They may be looking at different offensive coordinators. They fired some coaches this season. Oregon State, Arkansas Razorbacks, and I believe, I don't know, but I think I've heard rumors that Dabo Swinney might be interested in taking the job at Arkansas. Oklahoma State looking for a head coach. UCLA, Kent State, Stanford. There's a ton of jobs out there. And as we look through all of the coaching carousel and begin to look at some of those things that may come open, we have to realize these jobs are open, but some of the head coaches at some of these other programs may leave, which opens up jobs at other places as well. For example, UNLV, and I've mentioned Dan Mullen's name several times, and he may stay. I don't know that for sure, but I'm sure that his phone is ringing. I'm sure that they've reached out at some of these places to talk to him. Eli Drinkowitz, big name, been circling around at several of these coaching vacancies. And we're going to talk about the big one, the elephant in the room, as everybody might say. I mentioned that Lane Kiffin was going to get an offer and probably leave Ole Miss. Guys, I don't want him to leave. I'm a huge Lane Kiffin fan. He has made me love watching Ole Miss football. And I loved watching him when he was coaching at Florida Atlantic. He was a great offensive coordinator at Alabama. He has stubbed his toe, and he has pissed off some people, Tennessee and Southern Cal. I know that with some of the things that he's done, but he has solidified himself concreted his feet in at Ole Miss, and it would be great if he stayed. But LSU's going to throw $90 to $100 million in his face and have him sit down at a table and say no to that stack of cash. And he may do that. I hope he does. But his name is one of the biggest names swirling right now in all of college football. And right now, we all know when your ceiling is at its highest, that's the time to push your chips into the middle of the table. And he can get everything he wants at LSU to buy a national championship if he wants one. So that could open up an Ole Miss job. The Florida job, there can be several coaches looked at for that. Golich out of South Florida, he's going to be one of those coaches talked about as we look at people leaving programs and going to another one. That's going to open up a South Florida job. Charlie Huff's name's been mentioned a couple times after what he's done at Marshall and then left and did the same thing at Southern Miss. He's going to be one of the dudes that they're going to be talking about. Matt Rule has been talked about as the Penn State next head coach. So, guys, there's a ton of stuff going on. Offensive and defensive coordinators as well, those guys can't be forgotten, because if you got a coordinator that leaves, for example, a coordinator leaves at Penn State to go coach with James Franklin or any of that staff, those guys have also got to be replaced. So this is going to be a very interesting and record-setting coaching carousel for 2025 as we get toward the end of this season. But guys, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the rule changes that need to be made in college football. I don't know whether people will agree or disagree, but I'm going to talk about the NIL, the portal, all of those things. They need to put some guidelines in place. For example, you can't be sitting here in the middle of a season with a team that's 10-1 and putting an ultimatum on the table for Lane Kiffin as they get ready for the Egg Bowl and also possibly going deep into the playoffs, maybe even win a national championship, and you're going to kick him to the curb if he decides to take the job at LSU. If you're going to treat the college football players and coaches like the NFL, then let's have rules in place to make sure this does not happen. For example, tampering with a coach during the season should be illegal. You should not be able to talk to a college football coach until the season is over with. Let these guys do their job the entire football season until it is over with. That means regular season, playoff, everything. Do not talk to these guys. Do not offer a contract. Tampering rules need to be put in place. Big time fines for any school that tampers with any of these coaches. The same thing with the players. The players in the transfer portal needs to be opened accordingly, not during the regular season or playoffs or bowl games. That needs to be changed to where these guys can transfer during the off season, but not transfer 4 games into the season or decide to sit out. These guys have agreed to a contract. They've agreed to play. If they don't play, they don't get paid, but they also need to honor their contract. So players alike, just like coaches, no tampering, change the rules, change the dates of the rules, make sure that doesn't happen. Also, NIL needs to be put in place for some of these guys. Pardon me. NIL rules put in place for these guys getting paid. I think there should be some rules. For example, if you go through the season and you don't play in your bowl game with your teammates, you don't get paid. I think that should be part of your contract. you get paid to play, so play. Don't sit, play till the season is over with. I know these guys say, well, I may get injured. I may hurt an ankle. I may cost myself an NFL draft stock. I may cost myself this. Well, you could get hurt the 11th game of the season just like you could get hurt the 12th game of the season. So that's not an excuse when you decide to sit out just because you've made it through the regular season and you decide to sit out a bowl game just because the bowl game does not mean anything. I think it means something to a lot of the players on some teams, maybe all teams. I also think that there's a lot of players on the team not getting the kind of money you're getting that deserve to have the opportunity to win a bowl game, because that may be the last opportunity they have to win with their teammates. And you've got a quarterback that sits out and snubs his nose at the bowl game while the rest of his players go out on the field and play. I think they need to honor their contract, play every game, and if they don't get paid. I just think that should be part of the rules. The NIL and the transfer portal needs the dates changed, and they need to put tampering rules in place, and they need to put transfer rules in place so that these guys cannot do what they've done over these last couple seasons to hurt the chances of their teams winning football games. Enough rant about some of those things. I just think they need to put some rules in place to protect the coaches, protect the college, and protect the players, one alike, because these guys are going to lose bowl games. They're going to lose playoff games if they have coaches that leave before the season is over with. So if they would put those rules in place, I think you'll find that these coaches can go through the rest of the season. You'll have some of these guys like Lane Kiffin who could continue to coach the rest of the season, maybe get Ole Miss a national championship before he leaves town, if he leaves town, without having all this controversy swirling around his head and wondering whether he's going to go or going to stay. All the kids are wondering whether he's going to go or whether he's going to stay, and everyone's sitting on top from the GM down, wondering whether he's going to leave or going to stay. So we don't need that swirling in the middle of a playoff race for any of these college kids or any of these college coaches. Enough a rant about the college coaching carousel. Tons and tons of things are going to happen throughout the rest of the season. We are going to stay on top of it. I love it. I think it's great for the sport. I think now the NIL more than ever has created a platform where the playing field has been leveled in so many instances where you have got a ton of teams out there that could actually win a national championship who would have never had the opportunity had NIL not been available. For example, Texas Tech, who went out and bought a ton of players. Texas A&M, who went out and bought a ton of players. It's not the traditional Alabama versus Georgia, Alabama versus Clemson. These guys, you're having a ton of other schools. Indiana, for example, having an opportunity. Ohio State, of course, they're going to be there about every year. Michigan, opportunity as well. You've got Indiana sitting on the doorstep to get in, but teams like Ole Miss, who's went out and transfer portal, Lane Kiffin has done better than anybody out there in the transfer portal, bringing talent into Ole Miss, and it is proven with a 10-1 record going into the Egg Bowl. So I love it. I think it's leveled the playing field. I think you're going to have a ton of teams have an opportunity over the next few years to get into a championship or at least a playoff game and a chance to win a championship. Some of these teams that you may not have ever thought would have had an opportunity to do so. So guys, buckle up. These next few years are going to be fun. Hopefully they do put some rules in place to keep these coaches on the sideline, at least all the way through the regular season and the playoffs until it's over with. Guys, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the games coming up for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Thank you so much for jumping aboard that Madman Club Betting Podcast train. We're going to take you to the window and cash tickets. That's what it's all about. We've got some big games coming up this weekend, Rivalry Week, as we dive in for Friday. We're going to put all of our plays over on madmanclub.com. Make sure you get over there and get registered. It is free. There's no charge. All of our college plays, all of our NFL plays, and that dog of the week. Name, address, email, phone number, I think is what you got to have to get registered. Click that button. It says subscribe now. Get over to the YouTube channel. Check us out on all the social media platforms. Get over to the podcast platform. You can follow us everywhere, guys. Make sure you smash that follow button, tell a friend, and hit that like button. We'll be back in just a moment with some college football. Welcome back in, guys. Madman Betting Podcast. Thank you guys for stopping by again. We want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving week. And with that being said, loaded plate full of games on Thursday. Guys, all of our plays will be put on our Madman Podcast this week. madmanclub.com over on the website. Get over there and get registered. All of our plays, college, NFL, dog of the week, everything over on madmanclub.com. It is no charge. Get registered today to get all the plays. We're going to put those plays out later this week. We're going to talk about a couple of the games, who we may be leaning toward in some of those games, but we will have plays later in the week. We've been making some of those plays earlier in the week, and it's cost us because we thought we might have closing line value and did not. On some of them, it has cost me on my dog of the week, who I like to look later in the week to see where the line's going. So we want to take a little more time going forward and put those plays out closer to Thursday or Friday instead of putting them out on Tuesday or Wednesday. So all of our plays will be over on madmanclub.com later this week. Before we get started, get over there and get registered. Get over to all of our platforms, X, Instagram, all of our social media. Get over to TikTok. Make sure you give us a like and a follow. Get over to YouTube, where you can see the full podcast and all of our short reels. And also get over to the podcast platform. If you just want to listen, give us a follow over there. Every time a podcast is released, you'll get notified. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Let's grow this podcast as we take that Madman train to the station and cash tickets. We are plus up over 100 units this year to start, hitting around 56%. Very thankful that we've done what we've done. We just want to make sure we continue to roll on. So starting Thursday, Green Bay and the Lions, as we get our appetizer going at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Green Bay 7-3, Detroit 7-4. Both of those coming off a win last week. A win against the Giants, which Detroit struggled and had to win that game late in overtime, 34-27. Green Bay got the win easily over Minnesota last week, 23-6. Jordan Love has looked good at times, and he's looked bad at times. This is a team that everybody thought might win the NFC North. Now they're chasing the Bears. The same with Detroit. They're chasing the Bears. So this game right here, pretty important for both of these teams, as Jared Goff and Jordan Love need to find a way to get a win this weekend. Jared Goff has looked good. He's thrown for almost 3,000 yards this season, 23 TDs, but their defense has been suspect, just like last week, letting Jameis Winston take the Giants up and down the field, hung a 27 spot on them. So be interesting how this game goes on Thursday. That line has opened up. Looks like Detroit 2.5, total sitting at 48.5. Detroit is at home. Home teams, Thanksgiving Day, interesting spot. But again, both of these teams need to get a win to keep up with the Chicago Bears, who are sitting at 8-3, I believe, right now, and on top of the NFC North. NFL 4:30, another good game. Both of these teams got wins last week. Both kind of in the same fashion. Kansas City had to come from behind against Indianapolis, was trailing late. They had to go to overtime. They win that game 23-20. Dallas spotted Philadelphia 21 in the first half, shut Philly down in the second half, come back and win the game 24-21. So both of them had comeback fashion wins last week. Kansas City sitting at 6-5. Dallas sitting at 5-5. And Dallas has shored up a few things on defense. They may be able to make a short run and try to put themselves in position to win this NFC East this year. Kansas City may very well be able to do the exact same thing in the AFC West. They both need to continue to win. They both need to continue to play well to get the job done, to be able to try to win those divisions, because getting that win over Philly was huge for Dallas. Kansas City beating Indianapolis was big, but it was nowhere near as big as Dallas beating Philadelphia last week. So this sort of be an interesting game on Thursday at 4:30. Kansas City's -3. I think that line opened up at 3.5, maybe even a 4. I do have a lean in this game. Guys, as you know, I gave the Cowboys out back in July as one of my sleepers in the NFC East, thinking that they could actually pull it off and maybe win this division. I still think if they can put a few wins together in a row, I think it puts them in a position where they could. So I do have a lean in this game. I'm leaning Dallas as of right now. We will look later in the week and see where we end up by Thursday morning. But I really like Dallas in this spot. I think they're playing good ball, and I think their defense is starting to do some things pretty well and going to keep them in every game they play from this game forward. Nightcap, 8:20 NFL. Joe Burrow is back. And I don't know, do you want Joe Burrow or would you rather have Joe Flacco? Flacco's been balling, man. 2,400 yards, 15 TDs. He's thrown 10 picks. So as Jameis said when he had that 30-30 season, balling, man. So maybe Joe Flacco feels like he's balling, but they have played well. They're scoring a ton of points. Burrow is back, healthy wide receivers. Baltimore starting to play good football. Baltimore sitting at 6-5. Bengals sitting at 3-8. The Baltimore Ravens know they have to have this ball game right here. This puts them out in front of the AFC North over Pittsburgh. The line opened at 7.5. It's sitting at a 7 right now. Total sitting at 52. I do have a lean in this game as well. I think Baltimore, starting now, will make a run, and I believe it's going to be a deep run, maybe all the way to the Super Bowl. They're not playing real good right now. They're going to continue to get better. Look for them to play ball and to shut down Burrow in his first game back. I believe the Baltimore Ravens, as I look right now, I've not made an official play yet, leaning Baltimore, but I think Baltimore can pull away and win this game by more than a touchdown, unless some things change. I know right now Lamar's dealing with a toe injury, so we'll see how that plays out the rest of the week. As we get closer to Thursday, we'll make a final decision to see who we like in that game. All of those plays will be over on madmanclub.com, as well as this one. Navy and Memphis, they also play Thursday night at 7:30. Navy sitting at 8-2, Memphis sitting at 8-3. Both of these teams they've done nothing but win. Both of them are off a bye week. Navy beat South Florida 41-38. Memphis lost to ECU 31-27 in comeback fashion. ECU come back and won that game late. I believe they won that game with about a minute left, 2 minutes left in that ball game, because we had ECU that week, if I'm not mistaken, -2.5 against Memphis. Interesting spot for both of these teams. It's in the American. I know they want to continue to win. Memphis, this Lewis kid, he's thrown for 2,400 yards, 13 TDs, and 6 interceptions. Horvath, 1,290 passing yards. But, man, he can run the ball. This Navy team is a good football team. So this is going to be an interesting spot for Thursday. I like the game. I may like the total just a little bit more. The line sitting at Memphis -5.5. Total sitting at 59.5. and I believe these two teams can put up some points Thursday evening. So we're going to look a little closer, give out that game. We'll put it over on madmanclub.com, and you can get that pick by getting over there and getting registered today. Those picks will be up by Thursday morning. Whatever play we have for Thursday, Friday's plays will be up by Friday morning. Saturday's plays will be up by Saturday morning. As we continue to dive in, college football, huge slate of games for Friday. We're going to touch on a few of those that we will definitely have a play on. One of those being that Lane Kiffin, will he stay, will he go bowl. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl. That game is Saturday at 12 o'clock. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Ole Miss sitting at 10-1. Mississippi State is 5-6. We all know you can throw the records out the window when these two hook up. A lot of times these games have a lot of crazy things happen. The ball bounces a certain way. Somebody ends up getting a touchdown in an odd fashion. It's just weird, man, how some of these things happen in some of these games. This is one of those games. Ole Miss is 7.5. Total sitting at 62.5. I do think that Ole Miss can score a ton of points, but I also think that Mississippi State can score a bunch of points as well. Mississippi State has shown of late that they can put some points up with some of these teams. They put up 21 against Georgia, 27 against Missouri, 38 against Arkansas, 38 against Texas. So they can definitely put some points up. Chapin, he's thrown for 2,400 yards, 15 TDs. Chambliss has thrown for 2,700, close to 2,700 yards and 14 TDs for Ole Miss. This is going to be an interesting spot because we all know Lane Kiffin is sitting there. They are wondering at Ole Miss if Lane Kiffin's going to stay or if he's going to go. Coming off a 4-game win streak and staring down the Egg Bowl and waiting to see whether he leaves for LSU or not. This is a game that I really like. And I think that sometimes these coaches who play a huge part in the offensive play or defensive play of a team, distractions can happen, and distractions can cause your team not to look well, come out, play with your food. Next thing you know, you're sitting in a dogfight in the fourth quarter trying to find a way to win a football game. So this may be one of those spots for Ole Miss as they continue to try to find a way to position themselves into that national championship race and get into the playoffs with Mississippi State at Mississippi State Saturday at 12 o'clock. Next one up, Utah 9-2, Kansas is 5-6, and this is another game. Utah minus 12.5, 59.5. There are days where Jaden Daniels throws the lights out, finds a way, and pulls off an upset. Not saying this is the chance, this is the time he does that, but we have seen him keep games close with a chance to win it. Utah has been playing their best ball the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. They they didn't blow them out. They put up 51 against Kansas State, beat them 51-47. Blew out Baylor 55-28. Blew out Cincinnati 45-14. Blew out Colorado 53-7. And they got Kansas at Kansas, where they are a 12.5 point favorite, but they are trying to position themselves in this Big 12 and also into this playoff race as we go through the rest of this season. Right now, Texas Tech is 7-1, BYU 7-1, Utah 6-2 in that Big 12. So we're going to see how this thing shapes up going into the rest of this season or the next couple weeks to figure out who's going to be playing each other. This line opened up at 13.5. It's dropped to 12.5. Total sitting at 59.5. Do have a lean in this game. Again, I really believe that Jaden Daniels at times can keep games close. And there's times where Utah does give up some points, and they'll keep it close and win a close game. This might be one of those spots. We'll have that pickup over on madmanclub.com a little later. Next on the board, Iowa, Nebraska. Don't know that we'll do much on that one. We may look at it. Iowa 7-4, Nebraska 7-4. Interesting spot. Iowa sitting at 6.5, 38.5 the total. Ohio plays Buffalo Saturday. Ohio 7-4, Buffalo 5-6. Buffalo could kind of play a little bit of a spoiler and just try to pull the upset against Ohio. Don't know if we'll do much with this one. The Ohio Bobcats are sitting at -6.5. Total sitting at 44.5. Kent State, Northern Illinois, 4-7 Kent State, 3-8 Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois is favored. Don't know why. Northern Illinois 4.5 and 44.5. Don't have a play on that game. Do have a play on this game. Georgia Tech, Georgia 10-1, Georgia Tech 9-2, Georgia Tech at home. If there's ever going to be a day where they could pull this off, this has got to be the week that Georgia Tech could be at home on their home field hosting Georgia with an opportunity to pull one of the biggest upsets of the season as a 14.5 point dog. Total sits at 49.5. Haynes King and this Georgia Tech team is a really, really, really good football team. And I had initially played them early in July, gave them out as a dog in the a sleeper in the ACC. They lost to Pitt 48-28. Pitt come out and just smashed them in the mouth with a true freshman quarterback that they've made a switch to. They beat Boston College. They lost to NC State, same thing. NC State come out and busted them in the mouth. But other than that, they beat everybody in front of them. And this is their opportunity. Last week could have very well been a look-ahead spot as they get ready for Georgia. Those Georgia Bulldogs coming to town in a huge rivalry spot this week. Georgia beat Charlotte 35-3 in a game where we gave out Charlotte plus 44.5 was a winner. They beat Texas 35-10. Texas never got off the bus. They looked awful. The play column looked awful. I didn't even think that Texas stood a shot after I watched the first quarter. They never took an opportunity to get downfield and try to make a big play. You're not going to beat Georgia by trying to run the football between the tackles every single play or dumping off a screen pass with that speed on the outside. I don't understand his play calling at times. Texas is just... Sark does what Sark does every year. They always find a way to lose those couple games and make it look horrible, and that was one of them. Mississippi State 41-21. They beat Florida 24-20. They beat Ole Miss 43-35. So Georgia has played well all year long. This is the opportunity of a lifetime for Georgia Tech. And I love this spot. At home, Georgia, knowing they're going to the SEC championship, knowing they're going to the playoffs, and really not a ton to play for in this game, doesn't mean a whole lot. It does mean a whole lot to Georgia Tech, the coaching staff, and the players. I believe you'll get the best game all year long out of Georgia Tech this weekend. Leaning, not official, leaning Georgia Tech plus the 14.5. I think they show up, and I think they play out this weekend against Georgia. I really believe this game is close, and don't be surprised if Georgia Tech doesn't pull the outright upset against Georgia Saturday at 3:30 in college football. Another interesting game. North Texas 10-1. Temple 5-6. Temple coming off a blowout loss. We gave out Temple last week. and they did not cover. They've not looked good at all. Mestamaker continues to do Mestamaker things. 3,500 yards, 26 TDs on 4 picks. He's had a hell of a season, guys. That's another coach that very well may be gone as North Texas's coach at the end of this season. North Texas sitting at 10-1, Temple sitting at 5-6. North Texas looks to be into the game, the AAC championship game. They do need to continue to win. They need to win this week. It shouldn't be an issue. They are a 19.5 point favorite. Total sitting at 65. I believe North Texas takes care of business this week, and I think they can name the number that they want to hang on Temple this weekend. So look at that total as well. I believe that number may go up as we get closer to Friday, but 3:30 on Saturday, my lean is North Texas minus the 19.5. I think they can name their number, whatever they want to put up on Temple, and I believe in the third quarter you can pull Mestamaker out and let him rest as he gets ready to continue and play in the AAC championship game. Another game on the slate, which is going to be interesting, is Boise State, who has quietly had a winning season, haven't looked good at times, playing Utah State. Boise's minus 3.5, total sitting at 55.5. That could be a fun game to watch Saturday afternoon. Don't know that I'm going to have a play on that game. We might, but another game we will have a play on, Indiana Purdue. Indiana's minus 28.5. Total sitting at 54.5. Indiana's 11-0. They get ready to play in the Big Ten championship game. Probably going to be playing Ohio State if everything goes the way it's supposed to. Of course, you never know. The game, that team may beat them. Michigan may end up pulling that outright upset against Ohio State. So, guys, there could be a little bit of a shakeup in the Big Ten. But as Indiana gets ready, I think they go out, they hang up a huge number early to try to get done and get out of there. I think they'll pull their starters in the third quarter. I think this game easily could go over the total of 54, especially with Purdue, because Purdue can score some points as well. But I think Indiana can name a number and put it on the board and get out of there midway through the third quarter, pull the starters and let them get rested for that Big Ten championship game. Texas A&M and Texas, another huge game. That Indiana game, 28.5 and 54. Indiana's 11-0. Purdue is 2-9. That game's at 7:30 Friday evening. Along with that Texas A&M Texas game, another interesting spot here. Texas's defense against Texas A&M's offense. Texas A&M's defense against Texas's offense. This could be interesting because Arch Manning at times has not looked good. To me, I go all the way back to the play calling. I just think Sark at times just does not call plays well. Their offense looked horrible against Georgia. Texas A&M, South Carolina jumps out to a big lead. They come back. They end up winning the game 31-30. These two teams, Texas A&M sitting at 11-0. Texas is 8-3, but this game could go either way. You can throw the records out the window. Texas A&M is a 2.5 point favorite, total sitting at 51. Both of these two teams coming off of a win. Texas against Arkansas, 52-37. Sanford, Texas A&M beat Sanford 48-0. The game before that is when Texas of course, lost to Georgia, and South Carolina had a 30-3 lead at halftime, leading by 27. Texas A&M come back and won that game 31-30 to keep that undefeated season alive. And again, like I said, they're sitting there at 11-0. But you can throw the records out the window. The game is at Texas. Texas is number 17. They know they have to have this game. If they lose this game, they have no shot, SEC or playoff. Texas A&M, on the other hand, this can solidify their spot in the playoffs. So that's going to be an interesting game going into Friday night. Texas A&M should try to get them a lead and hold the football and keep it away from Texas. Try to get them a touchdown or 2 touchdown lead and hold that lead and try to keep Arch Manning on the sidelines. And that way you can get out of there with the win. Late Friday night, Arizona State. Both of those are 8-3. Arizona -1.5, total sitting at 48.5. Not really interested in that game. Haven't seen anything I like about it. Saturday, you've got Ohio State and Michigan. We will definitely have a play on this game. And I'll tell you, I'm actually leaning on the dog side of this thing. Michigan at home, number 18, sitting at 9-2. Ohio State's a 9.5 point favorite. 10.5 point favorite. Total sitting at 44.5. This game is going to be very fun to watch. Defense on defense right here. We're going to find out who is going to stick their chest out, who keeps the offense out of the end zone, and which one can actually score, because both of these defenses are pretty good. Ohio State has not given up many points all year. We'll see whether Bryce Underwood can find a way to get into the end zone for Michigan. And also Sayan, who's thrown for 2,800 yards, 27 TDs. He's looked the part, and he's gotten better and better every game all year. Both of these quarterbacks have. Last week, Ohio State played Rutgers, beat them 42-9. Michigan blew out Maryland 45-20 in a game where we gave out Maryland and lost that one, of course, getting 14.5. Michigan blew it open in the second half and took care of business. Michigan sitting at 9-2. Ohio State sitting at 11-0. This game is big for both of them. We know what kind of rivalry this is. So I think both of them will bring A1 games to the field. Again, like I said, we're leaning toward Michigan in this spot. Texas Tech, West Virginia. Texas Tech is 10-1. They just continue to try to find a way to win, get into that Big 12 championship, try to beat BYU in that Big 12 championship game, and get themselves into the playoffs. Miami and Pittsburgh Saturday. Louisville and Kentucky on Saturday. Another big game. Clemson, South Carolina Saturday. Throw those records out the window. Throw the records out the window. Louisville, Kentucky. We know crazy things happen in that game. Every single season it seems like something goes crazy in the Louisville, Kentucky game, and it's just wild finishes after wild finishes in that SEC versus ACC matchup. Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, going to be an interesting game Saturday at 2 o'clock. May have a play on that game as well. Oregon and Washington Saturday. Oregon's 10-1. They know they've got to have this win. 6.5 point favorite. Washington's 8-3. Quietly 8-3. No one's talking about Washington. And they got a shot to pull this upset this weekend if they play ball, play sound defense, and can keep Oregon out of the end zone. LSU, Oklahoma, going to be an interesting matchup with Oklahoma still trying to make their way in. 9-2, playing LSU 7-4. LSU on the road, Oklahoma -10.5. Low total, 36.5 in this game. Looks like they're expecting a defensive struggle. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, another one you got to throw the records out the window. 8-3 Tennessee at home. Vanderbilt 9-2. Tennessee -2.5. We know this game could go either way. Missouri, Arkansas. Penn State, Rutgers. Wake Forest and Duke. Cincinnati, TCU. That's going to be an interesting game. Florida State, Florida. Another one. Throw the records out the window, even though they're bad. 5-6 and 3-8. Florida -1.5, 51.5. And how in the hell does Norvell still have a job? After 2 seasons of what he's done at Florida State, and he's still got a job. This really surprises me, especially as many firings as took place this season. He has still got a job at Florida State, sitting at 5-6, and probably going to lose again this week to Florida. Blows my mind. But anyway, back to some of these games. Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech could play spoiler this weekend. if they could somehow pull the upset against Virginia. UVA minus 9.5. Total sits at 43.5. Alabama Auburn in the Iron Bowl. This could really throw a monkey wrench into the SEC if Auburn could somehow find a way to pull this upset as a 6.5-point dog. Total sits at 46.5. The game is at Auburn, and we all know crazy things happen in this game as well. If you've watched year after year after year, it always seems like it comes down to the last minute of the game and something happens for one team or the other. UCLA and Southern Cal, that's going to be an interesting game. SMU and Cal this weekend. Notre Dame and Stanford. Can Notre Dame keep their foot on the gas? 9-2, and they've run off a bunch of wins. Huge favorites this weekend. Can they hang another 70 up like they did last week? Minus 32. Total sits at 51.5. And we end the week Saturday night, 11 o'clock, Hawaii at home hosting Wyoming. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Hawaii sits at 7-4. They've had a pretty good season considering Hawaii has not been very good at all the last few years. Quarterback's thrown for 2,500 yards, 19 TDs. They've hung around with some teams, couple blowouts, but they've hung around with some teams this year. Hawaii could end up pulling this win out late Saturday night and end up having an 8-4 season, which is a pretty good season for Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes. Hawaii's minus 7.5. Total sits at 44.5. So interesting slate of games. Guys, again, we're going to have all of our plays over on madmanclub.com. We'll start putting those up Thursday morning. They'll be posted before kickoff. Again, guys, get over there and get registered. No charge for all of our college plays, all of our NFL plays, all of the plays are free. Madman Dog of the Week, every single week, all of those plays over on madmanclub.com. Get over there, hit that subscribe now button. Name, address, email address, I think is what you got to have to get registered. Get over to all of our social media platforms, X, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you give us a follow and a like. Get over to YouTube. Check out the YouTube podcast video, all of our short reels. Subscribe today over on YouTube. That way you'll know every time one of them drops. Get over to the podcast platform. Give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you to all of our followers. Make sure you tell your buddy, tell your friend. We're up 120 units right at it, 117 units, I believe, total on the season, hitting 56%. Let your friend know the Madman train is going to the station, cashing those tickets. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with some NFL. We're going to talk about some of those Sunday games. And again, all of our plays will be posted over on the website this week over at madmanclub.com. Guys, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Hey guys, welcome back in Madman Betting Podcast. Taking that train to the station and cashing those tickets, guys. Thank you so much for jumping aboard. We appreciate it. Thank you for everybody out there that follows us over on all of our social media. Thank you for all the subscribers over on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Just do us a favor. Make sure you tell a friend. Have one of your friends start following and liking us. Make sure you smash that follow button over on TikTok. Guys, get over to madmanclub.com. We're going to start posting all of our plays over at madmanclub.com. As you all know, it is no charge. All of our plays through the rest of the football season, no charge. You just got to go over and get registered. We even thought about maybe giving out a couple prizes as we move in later into the season. We'll come up with a plan to do so. Get over there and get registered. Name, address, email address. No charge. All the college plays, NFL plays, the Madman Dog of the Week every single week. Posted over at madmanclub.com. Like we said earlier, we've been posting these things a little bit too early in the week. We've struggled with a couple of these dogs this year. I think that's because we're not giving ourselves enough time to to study what we need to study. So these plays will be put up later in the week. We're not going to give them out on the podcast as much, simply because we're doing this podcast earlier in the week. We want to allow myself some time, me and my team, to make sure we find the right play for that dog of the week, and even all of our other plays. We are up 117 units on the season, so that is good. We're hitting around 56%, so that is good, and we're very thankful for that, to be doing as well as we have this season. And speaking of that, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there who's listening, and all the guys that are stopping by. We appreciate it. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving this week, and tons of football on slate for this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So as we dive into some NFL this week, before we get to the games, we just sit here and look at some of these standings, and guys, there is really nobody running away with anything in the NFL. Almost like college, it seems like the field is kind of leveled out. There's a ton of good teams, then there's a ton of bad teams. But sitting at top, for example, NFC West, the Rams are sitting at top 9-2, Seattle 8-3, San Fran is 8-4. Anyone's division in the NFC West. NFC South, Tampa Bay 6-5, Carolina 6-6, Atlanta 4-7. They're not out of the woods. So anybody's game in the NFC South. NFC North, Chicago 8-3. Who would have thunk it? Green Bay 7-3, Detroit 7-4. Tied at the top of that division. NFC East, Philadelphia 8-3, Dallas at 5-5. Dallas has a shot to pull this off. If they can get us to string together a few wins, Dallas could win this division, which I did give out earlier in the summer to Dallas to win the NFC East. AFC West, 9-2 Denver, 7-4 Chargers, 6-5 Kansas City. Any of those three can win this division. AFC South, 8-3 Indianapolis, 7-4 Jacksonville, 6-5 Houston. Any of those three can win that division. AFC North, Baltimore 6-5, Pittsburgh 6-5. Cincinnati, although 3-8, could still maybe make a run depending on how Baltimore and Pittsburgh play. AFC East, 10-2, New England, Buffalo 7-4, Miami 4-7. Who knows? String together some wins. Guys, anybody can win these divisions. And as of right now, my long shot to pull it off is Baltimore. I think Baltimore is in a position right now to string together some wins. If they can keep Lamar from getting injured anymore the rest of the season, let the defense start doing their thing, keeping these games close, getting out of there with a win each week, win the division, get into the playoffs, maybe get a home field game to start with, who knows? They can make a deep run, maybe all the way to the Super Bowl. New England, of course, I'm concerned about Drake May as you get into the playoffs and against a little bit more experienced talent. You are playing in a division that you have Buffalo's not playing well, Miami's awful, the Jets are awful, so you don't have a tough schedule. The rest of the season you don't have a tough schedule. Then you got to get in the playoff and you got to play a real football team. That could be a downfall for Drake May. Indianapolis, of course, I believe they're going to be fine as long as Daniel Jones doesn't revert back to Daniel Jones. Then Indianapolis will be fine. Don't write off Jacksonville. Jacksonville has found a way to win some games, and it looks like they could end up, at least if nothing else, securing a wild card spot. They continue to play ball the way they're playing. So a ton of things can happen the rest of the season in the NFL, but that's just a look at the standings. And this week, guys, ton of games on slate, and these are meaningful games because these are divisional games this weekend. We went over some of those Thursday games, but you got Chicago playing Philly Friday night on Black Friday, or afternoon rather, at 3 o'clock on Friday. The Eagles hosting the Bears. Eagles 8-3 total. Eagles are -7, 44.5 the total. Both of these teams are 8-3. Both of these teams need to continue to win. 49ers on the road at Cleveland. Has Shador figured it out? He got the start. He got the win. He's back at home. A little bit different defense to be playing against in San Francisco. But I noticed when they played the Carolina Panthers, Carolina's offense is awful. They turning the ball over. You turn it over on the 1 yard line with a 1st and goal and not even run the football. You try to throw a pass on 1st down. I would have at least tried to run the football in. Carolina had opportunity after opportunity. If Cleveland can hold their water in some spots and matriculate the ball down the field, the Cleveland Browns might have an opportunity to keep this game close, if not pull the outright upset against San Fran. We'll see how Shador does. Second game out. They've got some film on him now, so that's going to be another thing. When you don't have film on a player, it makes it hard to defend. But San Fran will have a little bit of film at least to watch going into this weekend. But they are going across country to play a 1 o'clock kickoff, so that'll be a 10 o'clock body clock. So that's going to be an interesting game for San Francisco. Jacksonville in a divisional game against Tennessee on the road at Jacksonville, favored by 6.5. Another game, it's in the division. Houston plays the Colts. So if Jacksonville can win, Houston pull the upset against Indianapolis, here we are. You're going to have Indy sitting at 8-4, Jacksonville sitting at 8-4. So again, that could flip that division just in those two games right there. Miami at home hosting the Saints. Bad Saints team. And I don't even know if I'm going to have a play on this game. Miami -6, 41.5. An interesting game this week, though, is the Rams going across country. After they showed out on Sunday night against Tampa Bay in a blowout, Carolina looked awful against San Francisco. And it always seems like when Carolina gets back at home, off a road game that they look bad in, they come back home and they play the best ball they've played all year. The Rams, coming off a huge win against Tampa Bay, on the road, 1 o'clock start, again, back to that body clock, starting at 10 a.m. Interesting spot for the Rams. They're favored by 10.5. Total sits at 45.5. Can Bryce Young find a way to get into the end zone and look different than they did on Monday night? We'll see. Do have a play on that game as well. Pittsburgh at home, if they're going to be able to keep up with Baltimore, they got to find a way to play. Looks like Aaron Rodgers might play. We're not sure. 6-5. Buffalo 6-4. Games at Pittsburgh. Buffalo's favored by 4, 47.5. Pittsburgh sometimes they just look awful. It's awful at times. It's hard to tell week to week how the defense is going to play, and it's also hard to tell how the offense is going to play. Offense will play well one week, and the defense will give up a ton of points, and they lose, or the defense plays really, really good, and the offense stinks, and they end up losing that game, but a lot lower scoring game. It just seems like they just find a way to keep themselves from winning. Last week, you put up 27, and you lose the game 30-27 to the Bears. So, interesting spot. Don't know if I have a play on that game. Chargers at home hosting the Raiders. Chargers are 9.5. Total sitting at 41.5. We will have a play on that game. Monday night, the Giants travel to play the New England Patriots. Giants are 2-10. Patriots 10-2. Don't know if it'll be Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart, excuse me. New England minus 7.5. Total sits at 46.5. We will have a play on this game. I really like this spot. I kind of like these points. I'm leaning toward the Giants. I think they can keep the game close. Ton of games, guys, this week. They're all going to be posted over on madmanclub.com. Let us know what you think. A couple of leans, like we said. We told you what we were kind of leaning toward in this college and NFL slate for this week. It's an odd week because you got games starting on Thursday, so we want to try to get this podcast done. All of our plays will be posted over at madmanclub.com. Make sure you get over there and get registered today. No charge for all of our college plays, NFL plays, and that Madman Dog of the Week. We appreciate you stopping by, getting on that Madman train. We're going to take you to the window and continue to cash tickets. Make sure you get over to all of our social media. Instagram, X, Facebook. Follow us over on TikTok. Again, smash that follow button. Smash that like button. Get over to YouTube. Become a subscriber. That way you can see all the videos as we put them out, all the short reels. Make sure you get over to the podcast platforms. We're on all of them, guys. You can follow us everywhere. We just appreciate everybody that has. Again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Thank you so much for all the people that follow us, giving us a listen. Thank you guys for stopping by. That is a wrap for today's show. Again, guys, don't forget, bet smart and bet like a madman.